Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Start Local, the podcast focused on helping businesses in Chester County, PA, and the greater Philly area as they try to navigate through the COVID-19 economy. My name's Joe Casabona, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host Liam Dempsey. Liam, how are you?
Joe, fantastic. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. As we record this, it's Friday, so I'm happy about that. And our guest today is Don Reid. He is the CEO at Coyote Web Design. They are a web design firm that supports small businesses, organizations, and nonprofits, as well as new businesses that are just starting out. Don, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
We're doing very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us, taking the time. I'm excited to talk to you. I don't think we've really spoken since the end of WordCamp Philly last year,
Right,
so
right.
I'm excited to catch up. So as we are helping small businesses in our general area, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
All right. So my name is Don Reid. I'm a web designer for the Coyote Web Design here in Delaware County, and basically, I just try to help uh, give businesses who didn't have the opportunity to get a website created and out to the world for on the lower end of on a lower budget, basically, because I know what it was like when I first started out, and it's a gift and a curse because you know. Uh, you know, I know when I first started out, my first web design that I wanted to work on or I needed, I was going to be charged $5,000 for. I didn't have that, so basically, what I did was I figured it out myself. And then once I kicked that door open, I kind of held it open for other people to come in behind me. Uh, you know, like I said, it's a gift and a curse because I'm slowly, gradually, and in times like now, realizing that maybe I should be charging a little bit more for these websites. I was doing, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like I was being taken advantage of. All the folks that I've done work for are, like I said, just starting out and just getting their things going. And this was something that they couldn't do, and I had the skill to do it. So I was more than glad to help them out.
That's really fantastic. And just a quick follow up, what tools are you using for that? To create websites. We just did a episode about getting yourself online for affordably.
So I use uh, WordPress and I use Divi, Elegant Themes, um, and SiteGround is what I um, funnel everybody to. Only because they're reasonable. I can stare and compare them with any other firm out there, and the price is right, and I've never had any problems out of them. I love a companies. I like working with companies where I can pick up the phone and call somebody, and I usually get an answer really quick. So SiteGround is good for that, and then Elegant Things I really never had a issue with. I think if I had to send an email or something, maybe I would respond it back. Now that I'm using them more often, um, things go a lot smoother.
Don, I loved the once I kicked the door open and then I just held it open for the others behind me. That's absolutely fantastic. That's very generous of you, and I love where you're taking your business. And I expect that ties in rather succinctly with much of the work that you've been doing in the recent months with COVID-19. And what I wanted to ask you was really around the advice and guidance that you share as a designer and as a marketing consultant as the lockdowns hit and organizations and businesses were looking to figure out how to respond. What advice were you starting to share and have you been sharing with your clients, and how maybe has that changed from what you were telling them in January and February of this year?
Um, the biggest thing which I learned is that you need to have a couple of streams of income. Um, it's funny you should say that. I had just thought about my business along with the business I work with, and I had came upon uh, Joe's podcast on how to make. I forgot what the name was. It was like how to make money another stream, and it's like, well, and he was like, he gave the whole spiel. Like, I stopped. stop my day job and I'm doing this full time now. And I'm like, okay, well, is that something that I can add? Is that, how much time does this take? Is that something I can add? So I say that to say is that I was depending on one stream to maintain the business. And when that stream sort of slowed down, I didn't have anything else. So that's what I sort of pitched to my clients is that, so, okay, if this doesn't work, what else, how else are you going to make money on the site? Let's look to do that. Is it going to be affiliates? Is it going to be advertising? And so that's what I sort of try to tell them, and that's what I sort of like look at as far as in my business is, okay, we've been through this, or we're going through this. How can I make other streams of income to where when something slows down like this again, I'm okay. And that's the biggest thing that, that's the biggest thing I think anybody for any business needs to worry about, is you need multiple streams.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you can probably get some kind of affiliate or referral fee from Joe for that plug on the show.
It was. I mean, literally, it was. I was just going through something one day, and I saw it pop up, and it was like, well, actually, what it was is that what I changed about how I acted in my business is that I, on Twitter, instead of following celebrities and athletes and just social stuff, I got tired of the stuff that was coming through my stream. So I started following people who do what I do. I started following folks like Joe, WordCamps, Divi. I started following them. I started following Google Analytics. So now I get a constant stream of information that helps me with my business when on my phone all day, instead of getting who did this, last night, who broke up with who, instead of getting information that's not doing me good, I started following people who could give me data. So now I get a constant stream of data that helps me and my clients. So that was the first biggest thing. And then by doing that, that's how I came upon Joe. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Oh, really? I could do that? Oh, okay. Well, that seems, easy enough. So that was one of the things, not to go back on your other question, that's one of the things that I sort of changed is, I've discovered that this is and you guys know this, that this is a business that is ever changing every day. And if you don't stay on top of this, and to go back to your other question, I wasn't on top of my game, I don't think, 100%. Because I needed to, you have to learn and evolve. And if you don't go out, and now by doing that change with the social media piece, now I'm receiving data all the time on things that I need to evolve on, things I need to work on. Google Analytics is giving me this tip. Divi saying, oh, we have this coming out. SiteGround is going to the Google platform. All these guys are constantly giving me data that help my business and help me grow and become stronger, instead of me looking up one day and be like, oh, how do I do that? And having to go Google it. And, so yeah, I forgot what the question was, but I sort of went on a tangent.
Yeah. So you're leveraging social media as an educational tool. People are putting out the content, and rather than wondering, you're having it feed right into yourself. You're choosing to follow folks and organizations that give you the information that you need to enable your business to not only survive but thrive in COVID-19.
Right. And then what I tell my clients is that you do the same. So, if I want to know the latest trend, I go to Apple, Tesla, BMW, and see what those guys are doing, how they send out stuff, because that's what they got millions of dollars to pay people to do. So whatever profession my clients are in, I sort of tell them that, okay, who else is in your field? You should go out and follow and see what they do, receive that data, because it's free, it's sort of free, free game. And so none of us have money to spend to go get these things that we frivolously did before, where we could go out and do. Now you have to sort of kind of learn these things now. So why not learn from people who do it every day, and you sort of kind of get it for free, kind of, because it's just, you follow enough people, you get bombarded with data,
Yeah,
so.
I like that approach. I share that example all the time with my clients. I said, look at Coca-Cola. When you go into the store, you see a sign of your banner. You never question whether or not it's a Coke product. You might never heard of it. They might have some new wacky flavor, but you know it's Coke. And to your point, Don, okay, very few of my clients, if any, have $300 million to roll out on a marketing campaign for a new product. But we can take the principles. We can take the best practices. We can take the guidelines and scale them down to $1,000, $500, $10,000. Yeah, great
The
points.
biggest
Great point.
thing and the easiest is uh, the email distribution list that I tell people about that they get. They're like, I get these emails from people, and then I go back and I respond, and I get the email in my box. I was like, okay, don't delete it. Look at what they did. You signed up for something. They sent you this newsletter. Look how that newsletter is set up. You see how they got the header. You see how they got the body. You see how she has the background color. Just go to MailChimp, which is free. First 2,000 people, it's free. Do that. These people spend a lot of money. Just do what they do, and then just recycle the process. So that's the easiest one I always start out with. Everybody is like, you want to build your distribution list and you don't know how. You get these emails and you delete them every day. And you know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's man, what a great point on both of those things, right? Because it's really easy, like you said, to be frivolous on social media and with your email. Like I signed up for the 10% discount and now I'm never going to read another email they ever send, but they do it cuz they work. I get an email every day from eBags or Untuck because those emails every day work. Um so it's I think that's so great to look at people in your industry, try to emulate and see what's working for them, um, and kind of learn from your competitors. Knowledge, information is a lot more free today than it was even 10 years ago. Yeah.
Don, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot, and I did this to one of our guests, John Tuher from Headroom, a few episodes ago. So I'm going to talk out the question and give you a little time to think, because I didn't share this with you beforehand. You talked about some of the advice and guidance and ideas that you've been sharing with your clients as part of your business practices. I wonder if you have an example, and you could feel free to anonymize it if you like, of some advice that you've suggested with the clients, some projects you've worked on them where they have successfully pivoted or implemented something new and it's beginning to reap rewards, not necessarily paying all the mortgage or all the rent, so to speak, but it's opened that additional revenue stream.
It was the email that's why, and that's kind of why I spoke on it. It was because it was too easy. Basically, I had a person who needed speaking engagements, and they weren't getting any feedback or they didn't have people to reach out to, and we set that I guess is what you call a funnel up on their site, and they started getting emails and people reaching back out, and so that they were able to touch, you know they were able to touch those folks. The other thing was that's number one. Number two is when they would post a video or something and somebody would leave a comment, I would get them to respond to the person's comment, because people think you're like like Joe's a celebrity, and I know this dude, so it's like it's crazy. People get this overwhelming feeling when you respond back to them. And like, you guys know who Corey Ashton is?
Yeah.
She responds back to my email. So I'm like, oh, whenever I always say something, she always like responds back. So I tell my client. So I would say the second thing is that when you start responding back and have that interaction with the client, then it's easier when you try to ask them, do they need help? Because they feel like I know Joe. So, I don't know his kids and his what, but I know him on a professional level of what he does. So if you get to conversating with people, so when people leave a comment on your videos on YouTube or whatever, respond back. And then that may initiate some, conversation. And then that way, when it's time, because most of the time those people are filling you out. And then if you keep going back and forth, eventually that'll turn into revenue. And that's number two. I saw both of those things happen where, the client was excited. Like, hey, I have people that are replying to me. I'm like, well, you got to keep, keep going back and forth, holding the conversation. And then eventually those people turned into, revenue because they weren't friends, but it just wasn't like a cold call, of somebody you didn't know.
It was the social and social media, right, Joe?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's I think so easy to overlook, right? But that's great advice that you gave your client on, and obviously from your own good experiences. I've noticed a lot more engagement, like you said, on my emails because I've reached out, I've asked questions, they've responded, and it seems like the people on my list really like that. I've got to be a little bit better about YouTube. Like the YouTube comments are like a trigger area for me. I just don't like engaging there. But you're absolutely right that engaging there, that's a very public area, engaging on social media. And if you do it the right way, that's just great advice. You can really build a good following there.
I just want to throw in a note for our listeners because Don is absolutely hitting again a whole bunch of nails on the absolute head that Joe and I just touched on the show that we published today. And I just want to make it really clear that we did not tee this up with Don. We did not specify exactly what he needs to say.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I had no clue what the questions were or what you guys did previously, but this stuff kind of works. And I will say again, that when I was, when I first started out, I had the money to hire somebody to do this stuff, and I didn't do it all like I was supposed to. So, this stuff really works.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. I think that's really valuable for business owners and business leaders, even if they're not going to run the marketing day to day and the sales day to day, but at least to be close enough and have touched it often enough to understand the power and the flow that it has. And that, it's kind of like when we bring somebody in to do our bookkeeping or help us with our year-end accounting or to update our business contracts. We don't just say the lawyer, get us a new contract, let me know when it's done. We're asking questions. Well, this is how I run my business, and here are my legal concerns. And, we want the lawyer to say, well, that's not really a concern in this state, and you're too small, or, yeah, you should definitely be worried about that, but you should be a lot more worried about this other thing that you're ignoring. And it's got to be back and forth. And I love that your example of you didn't do it, and now you're doing it, and you're paying attention to it, and almost seems like it's a bit of a light bulb moment for you, Don.
Right. So what? And to go back on COVID is, and I don't want to jump ahead on one of your questions. Is that?
No, you're good. Go for it.
COVID for me and my clients put a pause on things. So, for example, one of my clients is a speaker, so she can't go out and do talks now. So, okay, we need to work on. We could do just some different things on your site to get you ready because you were so busy before COVID that you didn't have time to do this. Now that we have a timeout pause, you need to be recording a video once a week and putting it out. You need to maybe do a podcast and start that, and try it out. So when things rev back up, you have a foundation of things that are going that you were able to do because you sort of had a break. So, it's a gift and a curse, so to speak, because along with myself, that's the same thing I'm passing on. I try it out and I just share with my clients what I'm going through. Hey, look, now is the time for me. Is things were kind of slow, so I try to get more knowledge. I try to understand. Okay, maybe I could do some podcasts. Maybe I can do a video once a week. I need to get a YouTube channel. You should do the same because this is, I forgot where I saw it, but, I heard that, there's like a billion YouTube videos, but there's only so many podcasts. Is that something?
31 million YouTube channels, less than a million active podcasts. Don, you're making me blush over here.
I had no clue. but when you're hungry and things shut you down, you have to dig. You have to figure out what you're going to do. And so, and when your back is against the wall, and you need free knowledge, or less expensive knowledge. So that's, I'll go back to saying that was one of the biggest things that with this COVID thing, it did was for one, it made me realize that I myself needed multiple streams, my clients needed multiple streams, and then, uh, you know, what do I have to put out to get these multiple streams? Is it a lot? No. Get the camera up, put the iPhone up, record 3 minutes, put it out there. Everybody in the world tells you, I know you guys, it's not going to be perfect the first time. I know personally, I don't like how my voice sounds. I have a million excuses of why I don't do this. But when you're not making any money and you look for other ways to do it, the first thing that any expert or, if I came to you guys, they're going to tell you is that, okay, well, Don, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. Liam sends out a newsletter. It's like both of you guys kind of do things that are in your face, but at the same time, they're just too easy. It's just too easy. It's just like, okay, I have everything I need in my home office. It's not going to be fancy. It's not going to be perfect out the gate, but I need to get this out once a week. I need to get this out once a month. I need to do this, this, and this. And that's what I just try to instill in my clients. And that's what COVID has done. It has one, giving a break to myself and my clients to understand that what needs to be tweaked and done for when this rev is back up and you get back in the groove of things that you can implement into your day-to-day, because, quote unquote, the excuse was, I'm too busy. I'm busy. I got this going on. Well, when you're not making no money, you're not busy. That gives you a lot of time to reflect.
Yeah.
So
I love how direct you are.
Yeah. I gotta eat.
Yep. And it's so true what you're saying, right? Like, I mean, the downtime, or maybe the need to the realization that you need to make a change. I just started using a CRM now during this time, because I was like, I need to get my sales funnel and my communications in order, when I do like cold outreach. And I think what you touched on about, doing these things, it's easy if you do it. Getting the motivation to do it is hard. Um, yeah, for sure. And it's, generosity with your time it's a long-term relationship build, but it will pay dividends for you. So getting it out there now sows seeds for, in the future. So I just man, I love what you're saying right now. It's so great.
And to your next point is that's sort of, because I wasn't really advertised, so that helped my word of mouth business, because now clients refer me, and it's sort of like, okay, because they kind of sort of know that this is I'm not out to to gouge you or anything, but it's like I'm just going to tell you how it goes. So then what I did off of something that I learned before is that I went to SiteGround and became an affiliate. So now when I bring on new, so you got to think of all these things. Now when I bring on a new client, I give them an affiliate link, to get an account. So now when you start to sit back and look at these things, it sort of makes sense for stuff that's too easy. You need a hosting plan. You want me to build a site for you, I'm going to tell you SiteGround. I can't, I just kick myself for all the money that I missed for not becoming an affiliate years ago, because it was too easy. I just fill out a form and, like my tax ID stuff or whatever you had to fill out. And these folks were coming to SiteGround anyway, or they would go down to whoever they're going with. They have to get a hosting plan. You can't build a site without a hosting plan. So, and the side note on that, another, as far as building sites was, I haven't gone too far into it, was the fact that you can offer your own hosting plans. There's another way to generate money, through. So to get back to your question, Liam, when this COVID stuff came, it was like, look, how can we make more money off the things that we do right now based on the skill that I have? And some of this was like too easy. It was, it's no brainers.
Don, we are running out of time, and I think that's probably not a bad thing in the sense that our listeners are going to have to listen to this episode about 3 or 4 times because you were swinging for the fences every time. Lots of really, really valuable shares, practical ideas that folks, to your point, can implement with an iPhone and with their computer and with their phone and build the connection and the sales funnels and the distribution list so that when they have things to sell, there's already a relationship and a willing audience. Maybe they won't buy it, but at least it's a receptive audience. Before we say goodbye to you, Don, I wonder, can you share where people can find you online, where they can connect and learn more about you and your business?
Coyote Web Design is the website, COYOTE Web Design, and I'm on Twitter at Don Reid Jr. So is my handle, and that's where you can find me, and we can go back and forth. But I'm active on Twitter now, so I wasn't before. I had to dust it off. But I tell people Twitter is where it goes down at. Twitter is where, basically, Instagram and Facebook are for play. But I just didn't realize how much knowledge that people pick out on Twitter. It's just,
Yeah, for sure. Well, we will link to Coyote Web Design and your Twitter account and everything that we talked about over on the show notes for this episode at startlocal.co. Don, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time and for being so open about everything that you've been working on, because I think it's super helpful to the listeners.
Thanks, Don. We'll see you soon, I hope.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. And thanks to everybody for listening. Until next time, stay safe out there.